Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. Today we're going to be doing a special episode here all about how to storage for physical media, 4K, Blu-ray, DVDs, all about all of the things I've learned over the past 30 plus years of collecting physical media in every single format. Now this video is going to be unique because I'm going to cover both tiny, small rooms with almost no storage options, all the way up through large, big houses and options you have if you have a whole room available like this room. So I'm going to go through all the different options, hints, tips, and tricks I've learned, like I said, over 30 plus years of collecting, and all the times I've moved and had collections in apartments or tiny trailers. I mean, I've even had my collection when I lived in a small, tiny RV camper size. That was very difficult, and things I learned about how to still be able to collect and own physical media. 4Ks, DVDs, Blu-rays, all of that's something that's near and dear to my heart that I've always loved owning. And I found unique ways to always be able to collect it and own it over the years, so that way, no matter what I lived in, I was able to still enjoy physical media without feeling like, well, hey, I can only have streaming nowadays. There is options if you live in a very small apartment, a very small camper even, or just a bedroom you're renting or living in. There are some great options I've got to share with you about ways that you can have your collection, that you can enjoy your collection and access it very easily. And I'm going to cover those all in this video and give you all of the different things I've learned, so that way you can collect and own as much physical media as you want without feeling limited by the space or size of your home or your room or whatever you currently live in for your living space. Now, I'm also going to cover some of the things that don't work. I'm going to make sure to share with you some of the things I've learned that were bad ideas, that either damaged or ruined some of my collection, and things I do not suggest anyone ever buying and using to store or to have ways to store their physical media in. So I'm going to share those along the way as well, some of the things that stay away from and don't ever use. Now make sure to go down there and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you never miss out on any of these special and unique videos I release exclusively here on my YouTube channel. Now to start off with here, we're going to be talking about small and tiny living spaces. So these are things that I've discovered when I lived in like an apartment or even just a bedroom I was renting. So I didn't rent a whole house. There was actually some times when I just had a small bedroom that I was living in. And there was also a time when I lived in a very small camper. So if you have like an RV or a camper or a trailer, these options are really good options for you to have your physical media that you can access easily and still be able to enjoy it without it taking up tons of your space, because you are very confined in a very tight living quarters. So you can't have big storage racks like what I have behind me, which I'll touch on later on when I get to the bigger storage options like what's behind me later on when I talk about with medium to large living spaces. Now, first thing is under the bed or under the couch storage options. And as you can see above, I'll be showing pictures of exactly the things that I've used and that I currently even still now own. In my kids' bedroom, they have a bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays, and they don't have room in their rooms for storage racks, and they want to have theirs separately. And these are things I used when I had an apartment as well. So you get these bins, they're very thin and flat, and I'll show them up above. And the Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, all of them stack in them along such. They're clear bins, so you don't have to take the lids off to see what's in them. They're all stacked with the titles that when you pull the bin out from under either your couch, which if you live in an RV, you can slide it under your couch in your RV or under your bed. And they actually, you can buy numerous of them, stack them all under there where they're lying flat. As long as you have a little bit of space under your bed, that your bed's off the ground a little bit, which most beds all do, couches do, you can slide these under and you can buy as many as you can fit. And you could fit a ton in each and every one of these bins. Now I will link every single thing that I've tested, reviewed, and that I've personally used myself. All of the direct links will be linked down below in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section right below. Those are all the Amazon direct sale links for the exact ones that I've used. The reason why I'm putting the exact ones is not only to help you out, but also because I bought some cheaper ones that broke, cracked, and did not last. Basically, the plastic dried out on them, and they basically did not work, and they ended up cracking, falling apart, and were a big waste of money. So the ones that I spent a slight bit more for the premium level where the plastic is thicker, I have not had any issues with those in my kids' rooms or the ones I had from when I was in my apartment. They lasted for many years. So that's why I do all of this work for all of you and include all of the direct links for all of the ones that I have used and that I currently own. That way you know what ones actually work good instead of just buying something that's cheap and thin that falls apart and then it was just a big waste of your money and a big waste of your time. So if you're gonna buy any of these, make sure to use the direct sale links I've listed below so you get these exact ones, not some offshoots or ones that are different sizes, because the size of these makes a difference as well. Each one of these bins holds the discs upright so that way you can stack them in there. The lid on top is clear then. So here's what's unique. Not only is the whole bin clear, and this is what's unique about these bins as well, they don't have wheels on them. So when you pull them out, they're just flat on the bottom, because the ones with the wheels, something I learned the hard way is the ones with the wheels have cutouts inside the bin that go up inside. You can't stack your DVDs, Blu-rays, or 4K cases flatly in them. And it causes issues because you have big gaps where you can't actually put anything, so they're falling all over in there. So the ones with the wheels themselves I don't use, which is why the exact ones that I posted below are the ones that I use. You stack them in there, you put your lid on, keeps all the dust and the dirt out of the bin. That way your 4Ks, Blu-rays, and DVDs aren't getting all scratched up or dirty from the dust in the air as well. You take that lid off, all of them are clean, you take out what you want to watch, but here's the nice thing, you don't have to take the lid off to see what's actually in them. Because it's clear on top, you can see all your titles listed right there, so you just pull the bin out from either under your couch or from your bed, pull it out, you see them all right there. There's your beautiful collection. You don't have to have racks like I do. Like I said, no matter where you live, if you're in a tiny apartment in New York or California, doesn't matter where you live, you slide these under a couch or a bed, you can store hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 4Ks, Blu-rays, DVDs, and have a massive collection that they're easy to access. You don't have to lose the cases or get rid of the cases. You can have the nice artwork in the cases, and you see them all listed out in these bins. Now, we're gonna continue talking about under the bed and under the couch storage options here, because there is a second option. If you have a little bit higher of a bed or higher of a couch off of the ground, there is a second option that I have used. This second option is basically bins that you build. They have metal rails on them, and I'm showing them up above as pictures so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. As I said, the exact ones I've used I'll put below, but for these ones you have to have a little bit higher of a bed, and the dimensions will be on the website when you click on them, so you can measure to see if you have the room for these. Now, the first bins I talked about, those ones are very slim, whereas these are a little bit more. You're gonna need a little bit higher of a bed or higher of a couch, because it has little roller wheels that don't go into the bins themselves. They basically sit on the bottom, and they have these poles that come out of them, and you build it out of metal, basically poles, and then it has a basket that goes around it that's plastic, soft plastic, with actually a Velcro clear plastic lid that goes over top of it. Now, the lid's not hard plastic, it is soft plastic, but it's actually nice because it's clear and it's soft, that it sets down on top of your actual cases without any elevation like a lid would, so that it's flat right on top of all your 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD cases. You can see through it again because each of them is stacked in there, and it just nicely stacks in, slides under the bed on wheels or under the couch, and you pull them out with the handles. As you see, they have handles on them. You just pull them out, wheel them back in and out, but you need to have a little bit higher elevation of a bed and higher elevation of a couch if you're going to use those. The flat bins that I talked about at first are the best option if you literally have very little elevation on your bed. But it gives you two great options that are easy ways to have your physical media collection no matter what size living space you're in. And they're very nice. Now, even if you have a large home, you might want to put these in your bedroom. So that way you have some that if you want to get to your collection in your bedroom at night, maybe TV series even, you put some TV series in there, so you pull them out from under your bed, pick one out, put it in your player. You don't have to go to your collection in another room in your house. So it is another option. Like I said, you can use these under the bed options as well, just for other areas of your house, especially like for my kids. I use them for their DVDs and Blu-rays because they don't want to have them in my collection. They want to have them in their own room, but they don't have wall space room in their room to put up any of these actual storage shelves like what you see behind me. So it is one of those things that I got these for them, and they go right under their bed. They pull them out. They like to go through their collection, look at all of them lined up on there. So it's a nice option as well for kids. Even if you already have a collection of your own, it's a way to store your kids' collection as well. Both of these options, I'll put the direct sale links from Amazon right down below. Depending on which one you want to try out or which one you want to get, I've linked all of those directly down below. Now, when you get done watching this video, make sure to start the conversation down below. Let me know what of these tips, tricks, and hints I've given and things to help you out with have really helped you out. Let me know what of these have given you some new ideas to either expand your collection or to start collecting. Make sure to start that conversation down there below. I always love to hear from all of you. Now, another option for small living spaces, or even those that have larger spaces, but maybe for some stuff that you don't watch as much, is actually these bins that are clear with these locking sealing lids that I'm showing up above. Now, I bought tons of these over the years for several reasons. One, if you live in a small area and maybe you don't have room under your bed, let's say your bed is either on the ground, or let's say you don't have any room under your couch and your couch isn't off the ground either, and you live in a very small space. As long as you have a corner or a closet or a garage or a basement, any of those options you can put these in, because here's why. These bins are made out of thicker plastic and they actually seal. The lids themselves snap on and then they seal in by pushing down on the lid to keep out air and moisture and to keep your actual collection safe. So these bins are also unique because they have more squared edges. So I've tried out numerous bins over the years and I've had issues with them. These exact Sterilite bins that I'm putting up above and that I'm linking below are slightly more squared around the edges, so they work better when the cases are sitting in them. So you stack the cases so they're facing out with the labels out, so that way you can see them. And on those bins, because they have slightly squared edges, you can stack them all in there very nicely. You can stack them this way and go all the way up on the bin. You can stack them sideways and go across in the bin. And it's enough that you can fit quite a few of these in there and you can see all of your titles listed. No problems whatsoever because the bin's clear all the way around. But then the lid snaps down, seals, and clicks. So you'll know it's sealed because it has a lock on it that it clicks. And it keeps your discs from getting any moisture in there as well. So if you want to put them in a basement or a garage or things like that, when you seal them up by that locking lid, and keeps a lot of stuff out of it, dirt and debris. So that's why I've liked those bins for a couple of reasons. Also, if you only have room in a corner of your room or in a closet, you can stack the bins all the way up the side of your corner of your room. They stack very nicely and securely, and they're not as big as huge bins. So they're a very unique bin size because some of those big bins you can't lift when you fill it with physical media. It's so heavy, and then you have a problem of there's too much stacked inside them that they get damaged. These bins are the perfect size that I've never had a single 4K, Blu-ray, or DVD case get broken or crushed when stacking them in these bins, because the lids, because they lock in there, are thick plastic that they hold up the sides of the bins without having to put a ton of pressure on the actual cases that are inside. And they're small enough that you can stick them in the corner of a room and stack them up and have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of physical media stored in these. They are a great option, another option for a very small space. Even if you have like a camper or a trailer, let's say that you don't have room under a bed or you don't have a storage cabinet in your camper or trailer, these bins are great because even if you have slide outs or you don't have slide outs, you can find a corner of your camper, basically move one of your chairs slightly over, put it in the corner, stack up a bunch of these bins there, 3 or 4 of them. You can have a massive collection in these clear see-through bins that are nice and easy to move because they're not too huge to move. They're nice and easy to lift off, set on the ground. You can see all of what's in it. You open it up, take the lid out, take out whatever title you want to watch, and you're enjoying your physical media collection, no matter what size living space you're living in. Now, there's another big benefit of owning these bins, even if you have a massive collection like mine, that you have a whole room for it. So I've used these bins and I still have them. I actually have them stored over there in my closet. And on my room tour video that I did many years ago, I kind of talked about it, but I did a room tour video, and I will warn you, it was about 3 years ago. Because of my nerve damage, that video was very hard for me to film. I get shakes, and that's also why I moved my hands, is to keep myself from shaking. Because of my severe nerve damage and chronic pain that I live in, it does cause shakes for me. So that's hard to hold a camera and film a room tour. That video is available right now if you want to watch it. It does kind of show off some of my collection in this room from many years ago. It's drastically expanded, and I do want to do another one here in the future. It's a more difficult video for me to film because of my medical conditions. But that video is available now if you want to check that out. But these clear bins are very unique because I have kept them year after year because as I've moved from house to house, and I've never had any of my collection damaged while moving. And there's been times when we've been waiting for a house to get finished and we've actually had to live out of a trailer or put all of our stuff in a storage unit. I've never had any mice or rats or water damage, even though we had a storage unit get water in it. I didn't have any of my collection get damaged because of how well these bins seal and they stack up. So the nice thing is with these bins, there's multiple uses for these that I've used many times over the years, and I never sell them. I always keep them because for my collection, they're a way that I know that I can put them in them and keep them safe. Whether I'm moving across the country, whether I'm moving to a new apartment, a new home, doesn't matter. They're a great moving and storage option for that as well. Now, moving on to storage shelf units. Now, there is a unique option that for even small, whether you live in a tiny apartment, a tiny home, whether you live in a big home, a medium-sized home, this is shelving options that kind of works for everything. This is wall-mounted media storage units. Now, these physical media storage units are specifically unique because unlike a bookcase that you mount on the wall, a bookcase is roughly 2.5 times thicker than what you have with these storage media shelves. So to give you an example, from the wall itself, you're gonna have with a bookcase somewhere around 14.5 inches that it sticks out from your wall. Now, for these media storage shelf units, even the ones you mount up on the wall themselves, you're only looking at roughly about a full 6 inches. That's about it. They literally are very slender, very slim, and when you mount them on the wall, they're flush, and they literally, like I said, they take up a little less than half of the room that you do for a bookcase. Now, something I learned, the downside of bookcases. A lot of people say, well, I use bookcases. Here's the downside of those and why I don't use bookcases anymore for my physical media storage. One, they're super deep. So like I said, you're looking at about 14.5, some of them are like 16 to 17 inches deep. So you have to stack your physical media in front of itself to use the bookshelf correctly. So you have multiple layers of it. So you've got to take out tons of physical media to see the stuff behind. So it's not easy when you're looking for something to watch or you want to find a certain disc. It's very hard because you got to take out tons of stuff, and maybe you have it double stacked because there's not very many shelves in bookcases either. You have one shelf and then another shelf is way up above. They are adjustable, but you only get usually 3 or 4 shelves at all, and they're super thick because books are super thick. So you have to stack your physical media in multi-layers on top of each shelf, on top of each physical media, and then it's hard to access, it's hard to use. They take up a ton of floor space because they're super thick, they're super wide, and they stick out from the wall, like I said, 14 to 16 to 17 inches. Whereas these physical media shelves that you mount on the wall, you're only looking at about 6 inches that it sticks out from the wall. Some of them are about 6.5 inches, which, like I said, you're looking at less than half of the thickness of a regular bookshelf. And with these physical media storage units, you get quadruple the amount of shelving. They on purpose give you plenty of shelves. I always end up with extra shelves left over after I build them, that they give you plenty so you don't have any gaps, big gaps between any of your Blu-ray or 4K disc cases, so that way you can stack all the way up. Now, for these Blu-ray shelves and these storage units, these specifically are wall mounted. As you see above in the pictures I'm showing above, these wall mounted units specifically do not go on the floor. So as long as you have room above a couch, above a bed, somewhere where, even if you're in a tiny apartment, you could mount this way above your bed up towards the ceiling, so when you stand on your bed, you can access all of your collection. And these storage units are pretty darn big. For like the one I'm showing above, it holds a full 288 4K Blu-ray and DVD cases. That's a lot of cases. So you can have a huge collection, I mean almost 300 cases alone in the storage unit that mounts above like a bed, above a couch. You just mount it up on the wall just for one of those storage units. Now you could do multiples of them, shove one in the corner, stick one next to it, and just kind of do them up above the wall, as much wall space above like a couch or a bed. Maybe you have a couch in an apartment next to your bed, and basically you only have wall space up above. Mount like 2 or 3 of these in a row up above the couch or the bed. You have a massive collection of like 1,000 physical media titles you could put in those alone. So again, another great storage option. Now, if you have a collection like mine where you have the ones that are on the floor, you can use these ones that you mount on the wall to put up above the ones on the floor. That's if you have a high enough ceiling. Mine are elevated ceilings that are basically vault ceilings. So there's a lot more room up above that I have. So you could do this in combination with the ones that go on the floor. If you want to have a whole big collection above your big collection, this is a secondary option. They match the shelves I'm going to get to here in a minute. Now, I will tell you, when mounting some of these ones that go on the wall, it is important to make sure you are mounting them in studs though. Because your physical media collection is heavy, make sure you follow the instructions and do them in studs. Because I will tell you, there was a time period where I accidentally did not pay attention and I first mounted it, didn't think anything of the stud at the time. And this is many, many years ago when I first started collecting and had these for DVDs, and it came off the wall. So make sure, it's kind of one of those things you think you're going to think of everything. And I'm not saying that I don't think of everything all the time, but honestly, we're human, mistakes can happen. So I'm just reminding you, make sure to find where the studs are. Get a stud finder, they're pretty darn cheap. I'll link a stud finder down below as well in case you guys need that. But get a stud finder. I'll put that direct link below. You find the stud, put like a little piece of tape there, mark where the stud is. That way you know where the stud is, so you're screwing into the stud so it's not coming off your wall. Last thing you want to do is put all your physical media up there and it rip out of the wall. So just something to keep in mind. Now I'm going to talk about another big negative thing I've learned over the years about physical media collecting that you need to not waste your money on or spend your time buying. So it's wire racks for physical media. They come in all different various sizes and conditions, and they claim they're sturdy, they claim they're this, they claim they're that. There's about a dozen different types of wire racks where they have little bars on them, or they're little pieces of metal and you slide a disc in and then there's another piece of metal. None of them have ever lasted, and none of them have ever kept my physical media safe or from getting damaged or broken or filthy. Here's why. On those wire racks, it didn't matter what ones of them I have. I can't stand them, and here's why. So the stuff falls off of them easily. You even knock the thing, stuff comes flying off of them, so they're easy to break your physical media collection real easily. Second of all, they're filthy. Here's why. There's no covering on them. So when I put them in like the shelves behind me or in those bins, or I put them up on the shelves on the walls, if you notice on the tops of the disc, there's actually like boards, there's actually like wood shelves that go over the top of each of the cases that keeps the dust basically confined to the top of the shelf only. So all of the units and stuff that you see stored behind me below it, basically those, just the outside edge of that shelf, there's basically a couple centimeters that you dust that off. Otherwise, the cases themselves stay pretty darn clean. It's the top of the shelves that you've got to constantly dust for regular dusting. But it makes it so much easier because like those wire racks where they're all separated and there's gaps between them, there's dust bunnies just filling out all of those, and it's just always dirty. I can't stand those wire racks because they fall over, the stuff falls out of them, they're dirty all the time, and usually on the ones where it's poles and they're setting slanted where you kind of stick them in there, I also have a problem with them damaging the cases because some of them use the weight of the cases stacked on top and the poles sag because they're these thin little like metal like wires or poles. Over time they sag, push down on the cases below, and I've had numerous of my cases get broken, and the ones towards the middle with the weight that comes down on those, they're just a horrible option. I cannot stand wire racks, wire shelving in any shape or form for storing my physical media. I hate the filth of it. I hate how every single disc has dirt all over the top of it from dust, or if you live someplace sandy. Doesn't matter where you live dust-wise, you're gonna have dust everywhere. And on those, because there's such a big gap, it just fills with dust everywhere, and I really just can't stand them. Now, getting to my favorite way to collect and store physical media for when you have a large home, medium-sized home, or even if you have one wall in your home that you want to put up one of these are my physical media storage shelves, as you see behind me. Now I'm going to show you up here a picture of my favorite storage unit. Now this is one of the ones I use for my 4Ks. As you can see in that picture above, it is stacked. And I can tell you this is the large adjustable storage unit that I'm going to link down below. This is the exact one I'm linking down below that you see in this picture. You can stack not only through all of the shelves, but you can stack up above it, and it is extremely sturdy, especially if you have a solid floor. Now it does come with ways to secure it to the wall if you want to, but because this room is a hard floor, I don't need to use those. It doesn't move, it is solid. And once I built the thing, it is just a wonderful shelf. You store everything in it, all the cases are there, you can see every title beautifully. I love it. It's like going to a movie store and you can see them all listed out, you read through them all, you slide one out, slide one in, and again, stays cleaner because it is one of those things that, because there's shelves on it, basically just dust along the top and these little ledges that are on it every once in a while, and everything in there stays really clean and very nice. Now, on that type of large adjustable storage unit, it holds between 624 all the way up to about 750 4K cases. Now, depending on whether you use box sets or not, are going to change how many you can store on that. So we're talking the regular standard 4K and Blu-ray cases, the thin cases. Now, if you use thicker 4K cases or thicker Blu-ray cases, that'll change that number, but the shelving unit is massive, and I'm not even counting the amount of titles that I can store on top of it. As you can see in that picture up above, I stored tons of my box sets on top of it so I can see all of those box sets easily. They don't fall off, especially if you have a solid floor. Now, if you don't, and you have like carpeting, and you're gonna put this unit on carpeting, make sure to anchor it, use the anchors basically that anchor it to the wall. That way it doesn't come falling forward if you knock it or something, depending on how your carpeting is, or if your house is not level. Use the anchors that come with it to make sure it's anchored to the wall. But this unit is great, and I absolutely love how I can see every single one of the cases very easily. Now, of these storage units, there are smaller versions that come available of this that hold 276 Blu-ray and 4K cases, and then there's a medium-sized one, which is mid-range, like what you see right behind me. That one holds about 576 Blu-ray and 4K cases. Then you go up to the mammoth size one, the big one, like I said, that's around 700. That is the differences in sizes. Now, what you see behind me, all of these that are listed out behind me are various sizes. I've kind of pieced it together to fill out every inch of these walls behind me. I have roughly 15 of these storage units spread out throughout this room that I store everything in my physical media library. This room is really one of those rooms you walk into, it's wall to wall, every inch of the walls filled with 4K UltraHD and Blu-rays, wall to wall, all the way up. And this is why I use these storage units. They are amazing. They don't stick out from the wall too much, which is a big deal for this room. This room is not a massive room. It's the size of a very small bedroom. But because these storage units, like I said, are only about 6 to 6.5 inches that they stick away from the wall, it uses the most room space by not using a bunch of extra room like a bookcase that sticks way far off and uses a bunch of wasted space. These go really nice up against the wall, as you see behind me, and they do a very nice job of making your collection easily accessible, easy to see, and makes it fun. Man, I love walking into this room. I'll be honest with you, the physical media storage units are what lend to why I love collecting. Because I like having the access that I walk around, I just look at it all. I take a look and I say, hey, what title do I want to look at? You can store them in certain areas and say, hey, I'm going to put titles A through Z here. I'm going to put family movies here. Having these shelves makes it very easy to organize. Now, I will say, and I'll tell you a little like tidbit here, I am not very organized with A to Z. I organize mine in very weird ways. A lot of people would say, why do you do that? It's just me. Like, I put all Shout and Scream Factory's titles together. I put like all of Star Trek together. I try to put all my TV series in one area. And then I do, like, if it's a TV series, all of The Walking Dead, for example, is all in one area. All of Star Trek's in one area. All of Babylon 5, and so on and so forth. And I put all the different areas that I kind of feel like in my mind is how I want to categorize them. But everybody has their own ways to categorize, and these storage shelves make it very easy to do that and to enjoy your collection. Because you walk in, you can see them all listed out very easily. They're not deep in there and hidden. And that's why I hate bookshelves. I absolutely hate bookshelves. Because they're so deep and hidden in there that a lot of times you can't see them. You need lights because it's dark in there. And I like, as you can see behind me, how bright and colorful it is. You walk into the room, it's bright, you can read everything, and you can actually enjoy looking for the movie you want. And I'll be honest, I have wasted a ton of time in this room. I spend a lot of time sometimes just sitting there looking through the collection, having a fun time looking at everything. And that's why we collect these and have them on physical media. Looking at the artwork is a fun thing. Now, for each and every one of these storage media shelves and these units that I personally own and use, I'm putting each of the individual sizes, listing out how many they actually hold of Blu-rays, 4Ks on each unit. I'm going to list those with how many they hold in each unit down below. When you click on those links, it'll take you directly to the stats page that shows the exact dimensions of how big they are. Depending on the size of your wall, or depending on how much room you have that you're wanting to put these in, take those dimensions when you click on those links below And that'll tell you, hey, I could fit 2 of these units, I could fit 1 of these big units. Make sure to measure so you know exactly what size unit you can fit for the space you're looking. Then you'll know how many of these you can put up on it, because I'll put down there what I've put on them. Now, with those numbers that I'm listing, I am not listing the number of stuff I can stack on top of it. So if you anchor these to the wall or have them on the floor like mine where they're not moving, you can stack 2 or 3 layers on top of them easily once you have them all secured and built correctly. So I'm not including that number. So technically, when I say on that big storage unit that I'm showing that picture above of here that I have, that massive one there, technically if you were to add all of the extra cases that are stacked 2 layers on top of that, I don't know, maybe it's around 750, maybe it's around 775 that unit can hold. So it depends on how you're able to secure it against the wall or where you're putting it. But you can stack on top of these media storage shelves very easily once you built them. Though another tip I'm going to share with you, when you do go to build these, they come in a box, and I'm telling you this box is solid, and it's got all the shelves and wood, and I usually get them in black, but you can get them in light brown and dark brown. When you click on those links down there, it'll give you the options which color you want. I get mine in that black color. They call it, I think espresso is the color for it, but it's technically black, but they call it espresso. But anyhow, on those shelving units, which I call black, but they're gonna say espresso, on those, when you build them, take your time. They come with these tiny little nails that when you're putting the backing on, basically set the backing there, make sure it's lined up, and make sure when you're looking, you don't move the nail too far over to where you're missing the shelf and you're putting holes through your backing or damaging your shelf. Make sure it's in line where you're only going a little bit over, so it's in the middle of the shelf, and when you nail it down, just go slightly slow and gently to make sure it nails it down nicely. You don't have to be hammering hard on it, because remember, you don't want to break off all of the coating and the black plastic coating around the shelf that makes it look nice. I have done that, and I've broken some of my shelves because I was banging too hard, and bang, and all of a sudden it cracked it. So just remember, you're banging it in nice and slow, nice and easy. Take your time when building them, because once you build them, they really will last you for many years. I have had these storage shelf units, most of these ones behind me, I've had for over 20 years. And they're still working perfectly well. None of the shelves have bowed to where all of a sudden they aren't working anymore. They look horrible. They look great, and they'll last you for many years if you build them correctly. Just take your time, read the instructions. Don't get flustered. Remember, these are shelving units you're building. That's why they cost less. Now, I have heard people say they go to lumber yards and have ones built into their homes so they can have all these shelves built from lumber yards. That's a more expensive option. I don't have the time for that because of how many times I've moved. I wanted the shelves to be able to go with me. That is why these storage units work for me, because no matter what house I've lived in, when I move, whether I was in apartments, which I've had these in apartments, whether I've moved to a bigger house, smaller house, I've taken these with me. So I don't have to leave them behind. Now, if you have a house that you want to try to spend and have a carpenter come out and build massive storage units and whole shelves along your walls, that's something you could look at, but for most people, that's not really an option, because most people do move. They do have things to come up with, jobs and things like that, and you don't want to leave those shelves behind because they're not going to go with you. Whereas these options you see behind me, these will move everywhere with you. You can move them home to home, apartment to apartment. No matter where you live, these will go everywhere with you, so it's an investment. You buy these and you own these for many years to come. Let me know in the comment section below, what of these you're excited to get and have to collect yours on. Let me know if this helped you out, what little tips and tricks I gave you that helped you to store your collection. There's numerous options in this, so no matter what your conditions are, tiny living space, big living space, massive collection, little collection, you can do it all in this video. Make sure to start that conversation down there below. Let me know, what of these storage options have you excited to be able to add to your collection and to keep collecting physical media. As I was saying, I've put all the direct sale links from Amazon down below for each and every one of these that I personally use and that I've personally reviewed over the years. They are all linked down there below, the exact ones that I recommend you using, so that way you get the best options and the best bang for your buck. Now, a lot of these storage units, like the shelving units for the walls and the ones that I have behind me, they are exclusive, and a lot of them are only sold at Amazon, and those are the direct ones I put down below. Those are the sale links that never cost you even a penny extra when you click on those. Those links down there do help to support the creation of these videos just a tiny bit though. But as always, those links down there never cost you, the viewer, even a penny extra. And those are the sale links. So when it's on sale like it is right now, you get that sale price no matter what when you click on those links down below. So make sure if you're gonna buy any of these units, any of these bins, any of these storage options that I've shared with you, make sure to click on those links I posted right down below. If you want to help to support the creation of these videos in this channel, make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. It costs you, the viewer, less than a couple of bucks every month. After what YouTube takes, I get about $1 or so. That helps to support the creation of these videos so I can keep doing this for many years to come. I'm not sponsored and I'm not paid by anybody other than you, my viewers, support directly through my Collectors VIP Club and through using those Amazon sale links I post directly down below. That's why it's very important. Anytime you want to support this channel, every single time you watch one of these videos, use those Amazon sale links below and join my Collectors VIP Club. I want to say thank you to all of my current VIP Club members, and as always, I truly hope all of you have a blessed day, and I've always got something new, unique, and exclusive coming out very soon.